28 days. That's how long George and Kathy Lutz lasted inside 112 Ocean Avenue before they ran out, in the middle of the night, barefoot, with their children and their dog and almost nothing else.
28 days. They left furniture. They left the food on the table. They left everything.
And the story they told afterward would sell 10 million books, spawn one of the most profitable haunted house films in cinema history, launch a franchise that has never technically ended, generate lawsuits, congressional scrutiny, and decades of debate about what is real, what is manufactured, and what happens when grief and trauma and a very good publicist collide.
And it all started with 6 murders. We talked about this last season. The DeFeo family, the blood on the walls, the house that wouldn't stop whispering about it.
Or a family who needed a story bigger than their dead.
Or both. Because in America, those things are never mutually exclusive.
112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York, the most famous haunted house in the world. Whether anything actually happened there, that's what we're here to find out.
And here's our essential question for this episode. When does a story stop belonging to the people who lived it and start belonging to everyone else?
Welcome back to the Fear Archive, the show where we dig up the real cases behind your favorite horror films, hold them up to the light, and ask the question nobody in Hollywood wanted answered: what actually happened? I'm Mike.
And I'm Amanda. And today, my friends, is the episode. It's the big one. It's the Amityville mega episode. I know we've been teasing it. Here it is.
Yeah, we set this table last season with the DeFeo murders. Butch, the rifle, which, by the way, I did fuck up, so I'm saying this at the top. You can put a silencer on a .33 Marlin. I'm not a gun person. I just pretended I knew what I was talking about. But yeah, so correction up top. So yeah, the rifle, the 6 victims, the shifting stories. So if you haven't listened to that one, go back and do it. It's excellent. We're incredible. 5 stars. Come on, leave us a
10 out of
review.
10. We're so humble.
Yeah, so today we are not litigating the DeFeo case in depth. We're picking the story up about 13 months later when a new family moves into 112 Ocean Avenue and where the mythology machine kicks into high gear.
Yeah, and a reminder, this is like homecoming for Mike and I. We're both from Long Island. We grew up with all this lore, with all these stories. Every time a new movie came out, got to see it.
Yeah, it was a big deal. This was like formative urban folklore for us.
Mm-hmm. So we're covering the Lutz family and their 28 days in the house. The book, the 1979 film, the question of whether any of it was real, the sequels. Oh, there are so many sequels. And the doc, My Amityville Horror, which one of the Lutz children becomes an adult and has some very complicated feelings about all of it.
Yeah, and we will be walking through every single Amityville sequel. Every fucking one.
I'm tired. I'm already tired.
Yeah, Amanda took the...
it was a long week. I watched all of them this week. It was a very long week.
She took that one for the team. So thank you. Thank you. Yeah, but before we do any of that, disclaimers. So this episode deals with the aftermath of the DeFeo murders. So familicide, it is in the backdrop, aka your family annihilation. We'll also be discussing childhood trauma, alleged psychological abuse, financial fraud, and whatever spiritual injury is inflicted by watching Amityville Mount Misery Road.
Yeah, listener discussion is advised specifically regarding the sequels. If you have clocks, mirrors, or dollhouses.
Oh, yeah, cover that shit. Also, again, I do want to say, last season, I want to repeat this. I said something about how you can't suppress a Marlin 35 caliber rifle, right? That's what it is, not a 33. I fucked that up. And I stand before you today, a humbled man, a corrected man. So I do want to apologize. We did get some DMs about that. So coming back to fact check and correct myself.
Good for you, Mike.
Thanks. Turns out, and I want to be very clear, I am not a weapons aficionado. I'm a man who once described the shotgun as the loud boomstick in mixed company. So again, turns out you can technically put a suppressor on a Marlin 35. There are threaded barrel adapters, there are aftermarket solutions, and apparently some very dedicated firearms enthusiasts who have done exactly that. So yes, again, I was wrong.
Yeah. They came for you. The internet.
Yep, the internet came for me and on me. In the most polite way possible, which somehow made it worse. Anyway, the mystery why no one heard the shots remains genuinely mysterious. My credibility as a gun guy remains at exactly 0, which is where it started. All right, December 18th, 1975, 13 months after the DeFeo murders, a new family moves into 112 Ocean Avenue. Okay. They are George Lutz, 28 years old, land surveyor, former Marine. Then we got Kathy Lutz, 28, 3 kids from a previous marriage. Danny, 9, Christopher, 7, Melissa, called Missy, 5, and of course, a Malamute named Harry.
Puppy. So the house was listed at $80,000. This is important. In 1975, dollars roughly, it was about $450,000 today. So that's a significant discount for a 6-bedroom Dutch colonial on the water on Long Island.
Oh yeah, now today that would be like $1 million home.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe more.
More. It would be more, I would assume.
Yeah. But the reason it was discounted, dun, 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 the murders. Yeah. Midair. Everyone knew. The Lutzes knew, their realtor disclosed it, and they said essentially, well, it's just a house. No, it was more like probably like, well, it's just a house.
It's just a house, Toots.
It's just a house, honey. Go up to the dairy barn and go get some Vim and Vigor. We're gonna drink that, and we're gonna sit on
2%.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know why we're drinking milk. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, because it did a body good back then. No, remember that? Now it just gives you high cholesterol and all kinds of bone spurs and things. I don't know. Anyway, the most expensive foreshadowing in Long Island real estate history, this fucking thing.
So the story of the Lutz is told first in interviews and then in Jay Anson's 1977 book goes like this. From the moment they moved in, strange things began happening. A priest, Father Ralph Pecoraro, later called Father Mancuso in the book, came to bless the house. While being in the guest room, he had allegedly heard a voice shout, "Get out!" You think it was like that?
Get out.
Get out. Anyway, that hurt my throat. And later developed painful blisters on his hands. He warned the Lutzes to stay out of that room.
Oh, man, I have something so wrong to say there about those blisters and why he wanted them out of the room. But anyway, it was a ghost. That's what I always blame it on. It's the ghost. Anyway, Kathy began having nightmares. She allegedly levitated above the bed. George started waking up at 3:15 a.m. every night, the approximate time that the DeFeo family were allegedly murdered. Well, they weren't allegedly murdered. They were fucking murdered. But that was the time it apparently happened. And yeah, he began to ritualistically check the boathouse at that time. Yes, this home had its own boathouse.
Green slime oozed from the walls. Kathy's face allegedly transformed into that of an ancient crone. Marching band music played at 3 a.m. from inside the walls. A demonic hoofed figure left cloven tracks in the snow.
Missy, the 5-year-old, she allegedly befriended an invisible pig named Jody with glowing red eyes. And the piggy would look through the windows at the family at night. Mm-hmm.
As one does.
Totally. He was looking into that priest with the blisters on his hand. He's like, throwing on the wrong hog. Anyway.
Wait.
Yeah. George claims he found a hidden room painted red, not on any of the blueprints for the home. I found it deep in the basement. And the family dog, good old Harry, he refused to go near it. It became known naturally as, what else? Hey, the Red Room.
Red Room.
I gotta say it like that. Hey, the Red Room. Oh, man.
On January 14th, 1976, 28 days after moving in, George and Kathy Lutz gathered their children and their dog and left the house in the middle of the night. They never returned. Friends retrieved some of belongings later. The rest stayed.
And then the story began.
George Lutz connected with a writer named Jay Anson, who had a background in documentary films. Anson interviewed the Lutzes over a period of months, allegedly 45 hours of tape, and shaped their experiences into a narrative.
The Amityville Horror, a true story, was published in September 1977 by Prentice Hall. Yes, the textbook people. The cover said, based on a true story. The subtitle was A True Story. The marketing said, true story. They were committed to that bit.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been like one of the first films to ever use the true story in the marketing and title. Right?
Yeah, totally. And I own that book. I actually got that book. It scared the shit out of me when I read it. I don't know, it was like probably 10 or 11 when I read it. And I got it at a thrift store. So, I have an OG copy of that.
Well,
actually, I have two.
Probably for a good reason. It became one of the best-selling nonfiction books of the 1970s. Emphasis on the air quotes around nonfiction. Right?
Yeah. It hit the New York Times bestseller list. It sold conservatively 10 million copies worldwide. So let that number sink in. 10 million copies worldwide. That ain't nothing to sneeze
in the
at.
70s.
Yeah. It was translated into dozens of languages. Grocery stores stocked it. Your grandma read it. Your grandma specifically. I don't know. Maybe not your grandma. I read it, like I said.
It arrived at the exact right cultural moment, too. Post-Exorcist, post-Watergate, in the era of serial killers and the Son of Sam, and a general national feeling that the world was breaking at its seams. A real haunted house was exactly what rattled American public and what they wanted to believe in.
100%. And look, Jay Anson was a gifted prose stylist. Whatever you think about the truth of the book's claims, the man could write. It reads fast. It's scary. It builds with genuine craft. Horror writers still reference its structure today. I mean, it's a solid read.
Yeah. Now, here's where we have to slow down and look at the receipts, because the Lutz's story has more holes in it than the plaster in that alleged slimed basement.
Let us count the ways.
First, Father Pecoraro, the real priest on whom Father Mancuso was based, he later testified under oath that he had never set foot inside of 112 Ocean Avenue. He said he blessed the house over the phone. Over the phone. So not wild. In real life. I don't know how that works, but
I don't know either. It's definitely a very different vibe from I stood in the guest room and the demon told me to leave.
Yeah, the blisters he allegedly developed, he said they were from a pre-existing condition. He also said George Lutz had called him repeatedly, seemingly desperate, and that he had encouraged the family to leave, but not because of any supernatural experience of his own.
Yeah. Second, the neighbors. So police investigators, they interviewed the neighbors extensively. Not a single neighbor reported anything unusual during those 28 days that the Lutzes lived there. No marching band music, no demonic hoof prints, no green slime crawling down the side of the house. Nothing.
Neighbors who had lived on Ocean Avenue through the DeFeo murders, which were genuinely traumatic for the entire street, said the Lutz's period was completely quiet.
Third, the weather. One of the most dramatic claims in the book involves a snowstorm in which cloven hoof prints are found in the yard. So, meteorological records for Long Island in January 1976 show no significant snowfall during that period in question.
Fourth, James Cromartie, the family that moved into 112 Ocean Avenue after the Lutzes. They lived there for several years, reported absolutely nothing unusual, and actively disputed the haunting claims. Jim said, quote, "Nothing weird happened, ever. The house was fine. The book made us famous, and it was really annoying."
So my aunt actually knew the Cromedies, one of them, which is weird, but yeah,
It's
they
just
always
Long
said,
Island, right? Like,
yeah. Everyone
yeah.
knows everyone. He
So
also put
your aunt knew them, and so what happened with that?
nothing, just the same thing.
Oh.
Like they felt more like bothered than anything else. Like they said
Hmm.
that there's nothing wrong with the house.
I
It's just
mean,
it's the
this happened
people
in the
who are
70s,
annoying it.
right?
Yeah.
And me as a teenager, in like the early aughts, was still going past the house. So I can't even imagine how annoying that must be to be in that house, having it be just like this famous structure. But part of me is like, you made
Well,
a choice.
comedy, there is
You made
something
a
weird that
choice.
yeah, and there's something that we talk about comedy. Well, we will if I can't remember if it's in the script or not, but there's definitely something about they had an odd death that happened at their time in the home, but it's just circumstance. It's not. I don't
Mm.
think it's supernatural. But look, Cromarty, he pointed out that many of the house's specifics, like the the architectural details that Anson described in the book, that they were
Hmm.
wrong.
Yeah.
Rooms being in the wrong place, because there is in the book there's a map of the house as like a floor plans,
Mm.
and yeah, they're wrong. Yeah, stuff that didn't even exist in the actual home. Um, and I mean, it's notable for a true story that supposedly took place in a real house that the author could have at least visited it, right?
Yeah.
But there's speculation about that too.
All right. Well, and the fifth, and this is the big reason, William Weber.
Yeah, William Weber was Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s defense attorney. So he actually met with the Lutzes in the month before the book deal was signed. And in 1979, after having a falling out with the Lutzes over what else? Money, he gave an interview to the Associated Press in which he said, and I'm summarizing here, that the haunting story was invented over a shared bottle of wine.
Weber's own words were roughly, "We created the story over many bottles of wine. It started with a real experience, and we elaborated on it." He was quite direct.
Yeah, and now Weber had his own axis to grind. He was angry about money. He thought he deserved a cut of the book deal. So he's not exactly a disinterested party.
Right. And the fact that he says it was a fabrication doesn't mean we should take him at his word, uncritically either. But it is notable that the defense attorney for the man convicted of killing the previous family was in the room when the haunting story was constructed.
Yeah, it also explains something that's always puzzled investigators. Why did the Lutz's story map so neatly onto the DeFeo murders? The 3:15 a.m. wake-ups, the room-to-room geography, the positioning of certain supernatural events to mirror the actual crime scenes. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's almost like someone who knew the DeFeo case inside and out helped write it.
Yeah, almost like that.
So if it wasn't demons, what was it? There are a few credible theories.
So theory one, financial desperation. So the Lutzes were stretched thin. George had a struggling land surveying business. The house, even at a discount, was expensive to maintain. They were behind on taxes, behind on payments. The book deal and subsequent film rights generated significant money, though. George received somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 in total from the property and related deals. That's equivalent to roughly 1.5 to 2.5 million today. So just again, that is the equivalent to roughly 1.5 to 2.5 million today.
That's so
So
much money.
it's a handsome sum, right?
Yeah. Theory 2, group psychological suggestion. The Lutz's children, especially Missy and Danny, were young. They had been told about the murders. They were in a house with a heavy emotional history. Childhood is already a period of intense magical thinking, and a house with documented blood trauma is a fertile environment for that.
Yeah, Missy's imaginary friend Jody takes on a completely different color when you remember that Missy was 5 years old and living in a house where 6 people were murdered. That's not necessarily demonic. That's potentially a traumatizing experience for a child, a kid processing horror through imaginative play.
Theory 3, and this is worth taking seriously. George Lutz's own psychological state. Several people who knew the Lutzes described George as obsessive, controlling, and increasingly erratic. He had become deeply involved in the transcendental meditation and various occult practices before moving into the house. Some have argued he essentially psychically primed himself and his family for an experience of a haunting, which is
that's
crazy.
Before we, it's wild, and we will talk about that a little more when we talk about my Amityville horror. But this is all before we get into what it does to a person's sleep. Imagine that, sleeping in a house where a whole family was annihilated, 6 people executed.
Yeah. Stress, sleeplessness, financial pressure, trauma priming, a narrative being shaped in real time by a man with legal connections, and a story to sell. I mean, millions of dollars on the line in today's money.
Yeah.
Any or all of these things could produce the Lutz's haunting without a single demon being involved.
Yeah, but George Lutz maintained until his death in 2006 that everything in the book was true. Kathy, she died in 2004. She also insisted on the truth of the story.
Their children have been more complicated about it, which is why my Amity horror is actually about. But we'll get there. I always joke about there being ghosts in my house, and
Right.
I always bring this up. I maintain like, oh, there's someone in the house, there's a ghost,
boy
there's an
in your
entity, any noise. I'm like, oh, it's the little boy ghost. But I truly think if I knew that someone was, plenty of people die in homes, right? It's just
right.
It's human nature. But to be murdered in a house is like way different than someone dying in a home.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like no matter what you believe in, whether or not you're an atheist or a devout religious person, it leaves a stain on the energy, right?
It's heavy.
Yeah. It's like a psychic wound almost.
And I think the fact that it was a family member who killed everybody makes it a lot different. It wasn't like a home invasion or like The Strangers.
No.
This was like someone who you trust and you're close with.
It's like kind of like, how we talk in Black Christmas about the call coming from inside the house, but like the threat is already there. The threat's been there. You grew up with the threat.
The call is at the dinner table.
Yeah.
That it's crazy. Like, it's your sibling.
Yeah. And
because there's plenty of murders where it's, the husband killing the wife.
Right.
Right.
Right. In fact, usually in that sort of situation where there's a domestic death, I mean, the husband usually is the first person. He's the first suspect.
Yeah. And I think that's a little different too, because when you think of a husband and wife, that's a relationship you forged. You're not blood related.
Right.
But for a sibling to kill another sibling, like, that's your blood. That's someone that you grew up with, and I know not every childhood is, rainbows and sunshine. I think we all know that.
And we talked at length about the DeFeo crimes and the DeFeo murders. I mean, the only other thing, I don't even want to give this guy any more energy, but what I will say is he was a complete fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
Ronnie Jr. was a scumbag, and he murdered his family. And but the thing about the deaths, right? Like, all right, would you be able to spend the night in that house now, knowing the lore and seeing all the sequels?
I watched 12 movies.
Yeah.
No, but
you wouldn't.
I think today, yes.
You would stay.
I think if it was a year after it happened, no.
Do you know what I'm
saying? Like,
have you ever stayed in a house or like?
But the 1970s was so long ago. Like, that was like a lifetime ago, right?
Right. Have you ever stayed in a room where someone died?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. You want to go first? Do you want to tell your
No,
story?
you go first.
So I stayed in the room. So my wife and I, before we had kids, we would go on a lot of road trips, and we would go to Joshua Tree a lot. And we would stay at the Joshua Tree Inn pretty much on the regular. Like, I think we'd go there like once or twice a year. And one time we booked the room where country singer Graham Parsons overdosed and died. You know, he died there. And like, I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, we had a couple of drinks. We were like, you know, like just, whoa, this is so cool. This is kind of like a piece of whether, you know, for better or for worse, music history. And, creepiest fucking experience. There was a heaviness in the air. It was really uncomfortable. It was weird. I don't know if it was the power of suggestion, but it felt like all of the oxygen was sucked out of the room. Right? Like I can't describe, that's the only way I could describe it.
It kind of sounds like you were going through what the kids went through. It's like you psych yourself up.
Yeah.
Thinking.
And that's the thing.
Then,
like, is it the power of suggestion? Like he didn't even die. Like Graham Parsons didn't die violently. It was a drug overdose. You know, it was a horrible accident. But even that being said, it was creepy. How about you?
Yeah, I've stayed in houses where I know that, you know, an elderly person passed in that room or, you know, whatnot. A few houses. And it's kind of, you know, even my brother, shout out baby bro. Him and his wife just bought a house across the street from my mom. And my mom she would care for the older woman who lived across the street. She didn't have any family left. And my mom found her, you know, crossed over. And so the house went for sale and my brother bought it. So they now live in the house and, you know, I want to say that my nephew sleeps in the room. But I think that's his room. But anyway, sorry if I'm saying this and you don't want me to say this, baby bro. But anyway, you know, I think it's just life. It's just like, it's what I don't know how to say this without going in a roundabout way, but I think it's like the inherent history of structures and architecture. Yeah. I don't know.
So I just did. I wanted to check on something, and I fact checked this before. What I'm going to share. So there used to be a website called diedinhouse.com. I think it still exists, but it's behind a paywall now. But in New York State specifically, and I'm not sure about the other states, but in New York, you don't.
Oh, you don't.
So you do not need to voluntarily disclose the death in the house when selling. This is New York Stigmatized Property Law, Real Property Law 443-A.
When did it go into?
So there are caveats to it. So you actually, all right, here, and this is very strange.
When did the law go into effect?
I have to pull that up. This is current as of January 1st, 2024. So it's still in effect, but I don't know when it went into effect. However, there are caveats around it. So, and one of the big ones is you can actually, so if you ask, they have to disclose. So the important caveats, direct inquiries, while you don't have to volunteer the information, and this is bolded, you cannot lie if a buyer directly asks if someone has died in the home. Intentionally hiding this information after a direct question can lead to legal action for fraud. So not a light charge. And this is paranormal exceptions, and this is real. I shit you not, this is real. While deaths don't require disclosure, New York is famously an, quote, exception for paranormal claims. If a seller has previously made claims of hauntings or ghosts that are a matter of public record, this can legally impact the property's value and may require disclosure. That's wild. That blew my mind.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm seeing
New York consolidated laws.
It went into effect in 1995.
Oh, wow.
So
interesting.
20 years after the murders.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the Amityville house actually just sold. Like within the last 2 years, it's sold again. And
So
the people who live
they
there.
didn't have to disclose it.
No.
But
The house went for
who doesn't know?
hang on. Let's see. How much did it go for? I don't think it went for $1 million, but it was close. How much did the Amityville house sell for recently? So 112 Ocean Avenue, 1.5 million. Nothing to sneeze at. That's a nice chunk of money. But get this. This is crazy too. So the address is now 108 Ocean Avenue, but it sold in 2017. That was the last time it sold, and it sold for $605,000. So that's a major jump. That's like almost double. It almost doubled.
That's a difference.
And that's 1.5.
That's really cheap for that area because that's on the water.
Yeah, like, Amityville is I don't know what the property taxes in Amityville are, but I'm assuming they're pretty high.
Yeah.
Every town on Long Island, the property taxes are doing nothing but climb. But
usually the property taxes and the escrow is more than the actual payment on the house.
Yeah, and it's wild, especially on Long Island. I feel like it's like almost like
specifically on Long Island, like the property tax is so high.
Yeah, it's insane. So the people who currently live in the house though seem to be fans of the series or the movie or horror in general. I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures that they post up. They go all out for Halloween.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they go all out for Halloween. It's actually kind of cute.
That's good.
I think that they did they got that Spirit Halloween Leatherface, and they have him in like one of the rooms. Like they you could look at the pictures. The pictures are maybe we'll link it because obviously they want people to know that they have a sense of humor at least. But maybe we'll link it with some of the press for this episode at least. But those New York state laws are a little wacky and interesting to know. I asked, and let me ask you. Well, let me ask you. Did you ask when you moved into your home? When you guys moved into your home, did you ask if anything happened in it? Anyone died?
No.
I asked when we bought our house. I asked.
Well, we rent, so I don't know if they have to disclose. But I didn't ask because I was just like, just give me a house. I'm coming from a condo.
I got you.
I don't care. Approve us.
I asked, and no one died. However, the house across the street, at the beginning of COVID, the lady died. Actually, 2 older women died in their homes on my block right around COVID. And there's new people in both of the homes, and they, my neighbors across the street, they call her Grandma Tubby, but she hangs around. Apparently, she makes the lights flicker, and she gets really excited when he cooks Sunday sauce. Because Grandma Tubby was
Grandma Tubby.
Grandma Tubby was really into her food, and they said that it has since stopped since they got their kitchen renovated. So she stopped making herself known.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was like
she's
benevolent
I can't stand this damn kitchen. I can cross over once you renovate.
Like, thank you. But nothing malevolent. It wasn't like an insidious haunting.
She's throwing a wooden spoon across the kitchen.
Yeah. She's making the walls bleed. Fucking with
Sunday sauce.
Yeah, the brujol comes out of the pot and it's like got red glowing eyes like Jody the pig. Oh man. Now I want brujol. All right.
Should we get into the movies? Because
yes,
let me tell you.
I have so many questions about these movies. I think I got up until Amityville Curse. No. I talked to you. We did. I did the later ones, but not the new ones. You did the new ones, which is nuts. My hat goes off to you. I'm taking off my hat, literally, because you watched all of those fucking movies. Okay. All right. The book sells 10 million copies. Hollywood comes calling, naturally. So you get the 1979 film, directed by Stuart Rosenberg, starring James Brolin as George Lutz, and Margot Kidder, fresh off of Superman, as Kathy. It's that is a very well put together cinematic couple. Man, he is Mr. Handsome in that movie, and she's beautiful. So it's like cinematic George and Kathy.
And let's talk about the numbers, because the numbers, right?
Yeah. So the Amityville Horror, it cost $4.7 million to produce. Okay. It earned $86.4 million at the domestic box office, though, in 1979. And in 2026 dollars, that's approximately $360 to $380 million. And, you know, on a production budget of roughly $20 million in today's money, I think that's a win.
Yeah, and for context, the return on investment is better than most Marvel films. This is a movie about flies, a ooze weeping house, and a priest getting sick, and it beat the financial efficiency of Iron Man.
Yeah, totally. And people lined up around the block to see this thing, not just in New York, everywhere. The small town of Amityville, New York, population about 9,000, was suddenly inundated with tourists, but also, you know, journalists, paranormal investigators, and people who just wanted to stand on the lawn and feel something.
The actual house at 112 Ocean Avenue had its address changed twice. And the quarter moon windows that became iconic to the franchise were eventually replaced to discourage recognition. The current owners, understandably, do not want visitors.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, you know, we kind of talked about how the new owners at the Amityville house kind of have a sense of humor and are with it. But yeah, still, just don't bother them. Don't bother them, please. But you know, back to this all. You know, the film itself is a product of its moment, and that's fascinating. You know, you got post Watergate, post Vietnam, right at the end of the 1970s. There's this strain of American horror that's really about the corruption of domestic space. You know, this home being the site of violence and betrayal rather than refuge or sanctuary, you know? And it's not the only one. I mean, a couple of years later, you had The Shining, you know, Poltergeist, and all of these films together, they're essentially saying your house is trying to kill your family.
Mm-hmm. And the casting of James Brolin is doing a lot of work. He plays George Lutz's deterioration, the isolation, the rage, the haunted midnight journeys, with genuine menace. There are scenes where you look at him and genuinely cannot tell if you're watching a man being possessed or a man cracking under financial pressure and undiagnosed mental illness.
Yeah, Brolin rules in this movie. It's a masterclass in acting. And, you know, whether it's intentional or not, this film is like the most honest the franchise ever gets to about what the Lutz story might actually be. You know, I don't doubt that this is how the real George Lutz may have been. I mean, I've heard George described as unhinged, and you know, Brolin absolutely delivers on that.
Yeah. And Margot Kidder is excellent and vastly underrated in this film. She plays Kathy as someone who is trying desperately and consistently to hold her family together, to be rational, to love her way through something that she doesn't understand. And she never tips into hysteria. The film is better for that too.
Yeah, but, you know, critically, film was savaged. Roger Ebert called it a disappointment. He felt it promised more than it delivered, and that the supernatural elements were too vague to be genuinely frightening.
He wasn't wrong, honestly. The film's biggest scares were largely implication. Door slamming, mood, James Brolin looking increasingly unhinged. For a movie that supposedly had documented supernatural events as source material, it's remarkably restrained.
What it is, though, is a masterclass in dread. You get that score by Lalo Schifrin. It's genuinely terrifying. It opens with a children's choir singing what sounds like a nursery rhyme filtered through a nightmare. And it never fully lets go of that unease. That score still scares the shit out of me. You know, Schifrin, so he was actually nominated for an Academy Award for it. And what a lot of people don't know is that the score for the Amityville Horror was originally going to be the score for The Exorcist, but William Friedkin and company scrapped it for not being scary enough. That's some bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Eh.
Friedkin.
Yeah, he makes an appearance again.
And the film also sparked lawsuits that would define the next decade of the Amityville story. The Lutzes sued. James and Barbara Cromarty, the family who moved into the house after the Lutzes, sued. William Weber sued. Lalo Schifrin sued over his score being edited. The lawyer for the production sued. It was a legal hurricane around a haunted house.
And Hollywood, because Hollywood's Hollywood, looked at all of that litigation, all of that controversy, all of those questions about truth and exploitation and the ethics of building entertainment on top of a family's murder.
And they made 12 more movies that I was forced to watch this week.
Yeah, 12 more movies. At least. And depending on how you count.
Honestly, there's so many more. There's so many. There's not just 12. It's crazy.
Did you ever find, I think someone on Reddit posted like a matrix of how like you could determine what's an official Amityville sequel. I couldn't find it, but I do remember seeing it.
But when I because I just like Googled it to be like Amityville movies, because I knew what we were going to talk about. But then all these other ones started coming up, and I was like, bro, am I supposed to watch these? I mean, I didn't, but I read what they were about. And I was just like, damn, they really are just like using the name. Okay, anyway.
Yeah. So we're going to do something that I believe no human being has ever done voluntarily and in good health. Yeah. We're going to walk through every Amityville sequel.
I'm so primed and prepped for this. I've been preparing all week.
I can't wait.
All right, I want the record to reflect that I suggested we only do like notable ones, and Mike said, quote, no, all of them. Every child this franchise produced, we honor them.
I stand by it. It's important to bear witness.
All right, let's go. Let's do it.
Right, Amityville 2, The Possession, which we covered last season. Damiano Damiani doesn't speak English. Directs an Italian horror fever dream through a translator. Burt Young's terrifying. There's incest. Guns are accurate. Nothing else is. It's actually kind of great if you accept that it's operating in a different dimension from reality.
Strong entry. Undeserved reputation. The incest is still deeply weird, but the domestic horror first half is genuinely disturbing. Then there is Amityville 3D in 1983.
Yeah, so in this one, a journalist debunks fake psychics, buys the house to prove a point, and is immediately proven extremely wrong by a portal to hell in the basement. So Tony Roberts is the lead, which is a sentence I enjoy. Aunt Becky from Full House is even in it. So this is pre-College Board SAT fraud prison sentence, of course.
Okay. The 3D effects were used primarily to have things float towards the camera. A fly, frisbee, death itself, probably.
Yeah, Meg Ryan's in this movie, though. She's a supporting character.
I was shocked with her and Laurie. I was like,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Meg Ryan's actually fantastic in this one. I think she's like one of the more compelling reasons to watch this movie. It's like early Meg Ryan.
She's just a girl having fun.
Oh,
like she's just having fun.
Yeah. So, this was also filmed with the knowledge that the 3D would be deeply unimpressive. Like, I think they were just like, yeah, we're going to make a 3D movie, which was and still is like incredibly complicated. Do you know like 3D is like one of the more ball busting things to film?
Mm-hmm. I'm actually shocked they still do it,
I think it's like the kitsch. Like, what was the actual last 3D movie?
I just saw the Grogu movie, and I didn't realize
that's
we were
in
seeing
3D.
it.
Like that's in.
I didn't realize we were seeing it in 3D, but we were.
Right.
It was in 3D.
Oh,
and
shit.
it did
I
look
sound
good.
like an idiot now. I didn't realize. I forgot about that. Like
they're still
like the
doing
IMAX
like
shit.
bigger movies in 3D, but like I don't know who's actually like wanting to see it that way.
I got violently sick.
I accidentally signed up for it. I don't like it. I don't like the glasses on top of my normal glasses. For everyone listening, I wear glasses.
I got violently sick when I saw Avatar. I saw Avatar in IMAX and 3D. Mm-hmm. And I got like this blinding migraine and threw up in the parking lot.
Yeah, I take them off when I need to.
Oh, that's crazy.
Anyway, all right.
But
So
yeah, back to it. Yeah,
we have a lot
I'm
of movies to
proving
talk
that
about.
negative reviewer, proving his point.
Yeah, the demon that appears at the end ends up looks like someone put a Halloween mask on a fish.
Oh,
and
it
I
does.
say that with like deep love in my heart.
It made the cover of Fangoria, that little demon jumping out of the thing. Like that was an OG Fango cover. Yeah.
Then we have Amityville 4, The Evil Escapes, 1989, a TV movie.
Yes. Yeah, TV movie. The house is torn down. A lamp is possessed. All right.
Okay.
The lamp is mailed to California because, like, where else would this lamp go? It's actually a pretty cool lamp.
Yeah, I got the lamp in my garage. Just kidding. The lamp gets destroyed. Sorry, if that's a spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But this was weird. It was weird.
Right? Is this the one with Patty Duke? Is she in this one?
Yeah, it's like, Auntie is like, I'm sending this to my sister. Yeah. And I couldn't tell if she was like hazing her with this lamp or she actually thought she would like it.
Right. There's a bunch of like weird TV actors and actresses in this movie. There's Jane Wyatt. She was on the show Father Knows Best. She's in this one. And she's like 75-year-old dealing with a possessed lamp. She probably deserved better, but the paycheck was, I'm sure the paycheck was fine.
The USPS contained the Amityville demon. Think about that next time they raise up the stamp price. They shipped your lamp. Yeah.
So then, from that one, this is a good one. I like this one. We got the Amityville Curse from 1990. It's a different house. A different house is purchased, and a priest was killed there decades ago. So people renovate it, which is always a mistake.
Yeah, unrelated to the original house. At this point, Amityville is a brand applied to whatever horror script was on the shelf. It's a flavor, not a location.
Facts. So the Amityville brand is now the cinematic equivalent of putting artisan on a bag of chips. So from here, we got, Amityville 1992. It's About Time, which was made in 1992. Made and released in 92. It's about a clock. A man brings home an antique clock from the Amityville house, and it's possessed. Because why wouldn't it be?
The demons in a clock, y'all. I can't. When this one came up, like the next one for me to watch, I was like, what is this? First of all, it was so weird. Sorry, I really gotta just lean into this one and give my take on it. It was super weird. It was like it felt like an adolescent horror like TV movie, like Goosebumps.
Right.
But then there was like a lot of like adult themes in it.
Yeah,
like,
isn't there like graphic
incest,
sex in this movie?
Like sex. There's a lot of Nazi references that was kind of weird in it.
That is weird.
They like made like a couple of Nazi jokes, and I was like, why is this happening? But the brother being like, my sister looks good when she got all like possessed or whatever. I'm like, what?
Do you think that was a callback to Amityville 2?
I was thinking that when it happened. I did think that, but I was like, this is weird. Like it, because it really felt like a like horror for like, YA.
Right.
Like
the poster
like the kid
is really
with the
cool.
dog, following the dog and having that like relationship with the older woman in the neighborhood who is like a witch or something, but not a witch.
The poster art for this one's pretty cool.
It is.
Actually, I got to say, the poster art for Amityville Curse is kind of cool, too. It's a little kitschier with, like, the guy hanging on the front lawn from the friggin' tree outside the Amityville house, and it's, like, getting struck by lightning. It's, like, it's very House on Haunted Hill-esque. Yeah. But this was the first Amityville movie I ever saw. We had an illegal cable box when I was a kid, and it was, like, on Showtime or, like, Cinemax in, like, the middle of the night on a Friday night. Yeah. But... yeah. What a film. So I do want everyone to understand what's happening here with this movie, though. So the franchise is gone. House, lamp, clock. So the demon's downsizing. And at this rate, by 1997, it's going to be a fucking keychain.
1997, it's going to be a Tamagotchi. But surprisingly, this one's actually like kind of watchable. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was just like, the like time distortion effects, they were like creepy, and like it wasn't horrible. It had a better story than some of the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it also has that moment with the lawnmower that's genuinely kind of disturbing. Yeah, I'm not going to elaborate. If you want to see it, go see it. I think Vinegar Syndrome put out like a box set of this one, the next one, which is Amityville and A New Generation, and Amityville Dollhouse. So they have a three pack that's probably worth picking up.
Yeah. So, like Mike said, now we have Amityville, A New Generation, 1993.
And it's a mirror. The demon moves into a mirror. Yep.
Listen, all the furniture in this house is haunted. We have house, lamp, clock, mirror.
Yeah, the demon is clearly Marie Kondoing, shedding possessions, downsizing to the essentials. Minimalist ghoul.
The fact that this was made in 1993, the year of Jurassic Park, The Fugitive, as a theatrical release is genuinely remarkable. Next up, we have Amityville Dollhouse, 1996.
Your favorite one. So now look, again, if you're keeping score, house, lamp, clock, mirror, Dollhouse.
A miniature replica of the Amityville house is found in a shed, and a family brings it inside, and the demon escapes from the tiny house.
So yeah, the demon is now nested inside, well, a replica of itself. And this is either the most postmodern horror film of the 90s or the laziest, or maybe both. I remember when this, I saw this. I don't think it was ever in like a Fangoria, but I remember being a kid at the video store and seeing the box for this one. And I'm like, oh, wow, there's another one and it's set in the dollhouse.
But, okay, it's about a dollhouse. And then we have like insinuating sex. Like this adult woman wants to have sex with a minor.
That's weird and creepy.
This like stepmom. I'm like, what is this?
This is like a theme in these movies. It's like a motif in these movies, not a theme.
What is happening? I know it's
you
like
just mentioned there was that weird incestual thing in what was it, the 92?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course the second one.
I mean, yeah, and the effects are like genuinely decent for a $2 million direct-to-video production. And like the story is it's completely unhinged. It's like if IKEA sold haunted furniture. And wouldn't you know it, Michael Bay gets involved.
Yeah.
The Amityville Horror 2005 remake.
Oh man, I was so excited about that Platinum Dunes big spring release. So you got Ryan Reynolds, abs. Ryan Reynolds abs. That's a definitely co-build in this film. Yep. You also have a haunted house. And I think there's like a Moritz is in this, like Chloe Moritz or one of the, she's in it. She's a little kid.
She's a little kid.
Yep.
This is the one most people under 40 have actually seen. And, it's fine. Competent. Ryan Reynolds does surprisingly good, deteriorating husband work. I think my biggest issue with this film is it's just jump scares.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, in the year of our Lord 2005 where jump scares were like king, I feel like.
Oh, totally.
But it was just like so cheap to me. Like you're just trying to get us all scared.
I remember being so stoked that they were doing like a big studio Amityville horror movie. Mm-hmm. And I just remember trying to follow the production as best as I could. I think like Bloody Disgusting would post up like set visits, or maybe it was like, I think it was Bloody Disgusting. But anyway, they had like these leaked photos of the set, and like they filmed it in Michigan on like a lake, and which is completely different than a canal on the South Shore of Long Island, like it definitely does not look like Long Island. It was a big movie too. It had a $19 million budget. It made $65 million on that $19 million budget. Hollywood was able to go, oh, this still works. Mm-hmm. And, that was a moment, I think, when they decided the franchise wasn't dead after all.
Yeah, the decision that Ryan Reynolds could anchor a horror film with his charisma is correct. The decision to make this a straightforward haunted house film without engaging with any of those actual mythology is less interesting. And then you get The Amityville Haunting, 2011.
Yeah, so this one's found footage, which I guess is zeitgeist at the time, right? That was popular then. That was like its zenith, at its zenith. So in this one, you have a family, the usual shtick. The production budget appears to have been approximately $40 in a sandwich.
It was pretty rough. And like I was fatigued at this point from watching all of these. I did it over the course of 3 days. This was my breaking point. The Asylum produced this one, which means it exists primarily to confuse streaming algorithm users who search for the 2005 remake.
Yeah, this is what I call an SEO haunting. Technically an Amityville film. Morally, it's a stranger in a trench coat. So, yeah, watch out.
It's just all the furniture stacked up with the trench coat on.
Yeah. Blisters on the back of its wooden hands. It's Father Pecker Roro. I kept wanting to say that, Pecker Roro. Like Pecker.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
Yeah. Never an episode if I don't throw in really stupid dick jokes. But all right, so this is actually not a bad one either. Next, all right, Blumhouse gets involved.
Mm-hmm.
As it does. Yeah. This one was shelved, though, for a minute. Again, not a bad movie. Amityville: The Awakening. So this, I think, ended up finally getting released in 2017. And it stars Bella Thorne. And it's about a comatose brother in the Amityville house, which is really weird. But here's where it actually gets interesting. So the characters in the film watch the original 1979 Amityville Horror and wonder if their house is the real Amityville house. So it's kind of like one of those meta sequels.
Yeah, the franchise achieved meta awareness. It knows it's a franchise. I actually know someone who worked on this, and I got to see like kind of an early cut of it, and like it was rough. It was a rough cut, to say the least.
It was the guy who ended up directing it. I think his name is Frank Calhoun or Calphone. He was like a protege of Alexander Aja, the guy who made High Tension, aka Switchblade Romance. So it has this like European flair to it as well, but American. Yeah, he was just coming off of the Maniac remake with Elijah Wood, which is pretty good. But yeah, this entry is either deeply clever or a sign that the writers had no other ideas and decided that acknowledging that, that was a personality, right? Honestly, I think it's a little bit of both. It is watchable, though, and I do like it. But by no means is it the last in the lineage of sequels. So next we have Amityville.
Wait, there's more.
Yeah. Amityville, Mount Misery Road, made in 2018.
Mike.
I need a book.
Amityville, Mount Misery Road.
Yeah. Which if you're from, all right, look, just gonna go into it. So this film was shot in approximately fucking 4 days. 4 days. On equipment that was, I at least believe was used to film a Sweet 16 party in 2003, probably. The acting is, and I mean this with genuine sensitivity towards everyone involved, ambitious. The plot concerns a couple who go to Mount Misery Road in New York, it is a real place associated with our local legends, our local lore, mainly Sweet Hollow Road. They go there and they encounter things. So I can't be more specific because I watched this movie and I like to think that I actually watched this one with like a critical eye, and I can't really describe it in any other way other than things happen.
Yeah. This is the event horizon of the franchise, a point beyond which light cannot escape.
Yeah, it has a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. I want everyone to understand that the other 3% is people who either misclicked or trolling.
But y'all, there's also Amityville Exorcism, Amityville Escape, Amityville Vanishing Point, Amityville Evil Never Dies, Amityville Thanksgiving.
Amityville Thanksgiving. Jesus.
But wait, Amityville Hex, Amityville Vampire, Amityville The Demon's Nest, Amityville Cult, Amityville Ripper, Amityville Hex House, Amityville Horror House. I also saw Amityville Summer Camp. I can't even make that up. I saw
there's another one too, and I shit you not, this is real. There's Amityville Vibrator. That's a real one. And it's not like, it's like a Skinamax kind of thing. Hold on, let me.
The Vibrator.
Amityville Vibrator. Yeah, 2020. It came out in 2020. Kathy moves into a new home. Oh God, Kathy.
No, Kathy.
Kathy moves into a new home and soon comes in contact with a vibrator with ancient evil powers. 2 researchers must locate this possessed item. That's the logline from IMDb. And it's a horror.
Okay.
Great horror. Yeah, I hate my life.
Yeah, and there's many more, right?
Yeah. Fucking Amityville Thanksgiving, man. The demon got into the turkey, Amanda. The demon is in the turkey.
Dark meat or white meat? The franchise technically has no owner. At this point, the name Amityville was ruled too generic to be trademarked, meaning anyone can make Amityville film about anything.
Yeah. And I mean, aside from the vibrator, there's like an Amityville film about everything else. There's a fucking one about a scarecrow, a Christmas ornament, and even a death ray. You know, the Amityville space one is, I haven't seen it, but I've seen the box art, which is actually kind of funny. I'm only slightly embellishing here, right? Like this is, all pretty much legit. The franchise is dissolved into the cultural water supply. It's in everything now, like fluoride.
Yeah, this is the hypothesis of American horror mythology. A story of disputed authenticity became a book, became a film, became a franchise, became a legal brand, became public domain word, became an infinite machine that now generates horror films the way that a garden generates weeds, without effort, without end.
Beautifully put.
In 2012, a documentary was released called My Amityville Horror, directed by Eric Walter. And it's one of the most quietly devastating things to come out of the entire Amityville saga. It focuses entirely on Danny Lutz, Kathy's eldest son, one of the 3 children who lived in the house during those 28 days. He was only 9 years old when the family moved into 112 Ocean Avenue. He was in his mid-40s when this documentary was made.
Yeah, I truly do love this film. And what you get when you watch it is not primarily a haunted house story at all. It's something so much stranger and sadder.
Danny is a difficult subject. Intense, guarded, volatile in his emotions. He describes experiences in the houses, levitation, demonic presence, lights, sounds, with absolute conviction. He is not performing uncertainty. He believes what he says.
Yeah, but what the documentary also does is document Danny's relationship with his stepfather, George, and that's where things become complicated.
Yeah, Danny describes George as controlling, intimidating, domineering. He describes a childhood in which the Amityville story was not a shared family trauma, but a narrative that George controlled, enforced, and weaponized.
Yeah, at one point, Danny says something that lands like a stone in still water. He can't fully separate his memories of the house from his memories of George. He doesn't know which fear was the house and which fear was the man living in it. It's really fucked.
The trauma researchers who appear in the documentary are careful and specific. They note that children who experience severe stress in a household with a dominating adult figure are highly susceptible to absorbing that adult's narrative, framing of events. If George Lutz's experience or fabricated a haunting, 9-year-old Danny Lutz may have genuinely felt haunted, not because of demons, but because of the psychology of the household.
Yeah, there's a scene in the film where Danny talks about George's interest in the occult, specifically in transcendental meditation, and what Danny describes as darker practices. He says George had unusual influence over objects in the house. He doesn't mean this metaphorically. George was like actually practicing magic.
On a clock? On a mirror?
On a vibrator.
Whether that's true or whether it's a child's magical interpretation of adults' eccentricity, or whether it's something that happened in the space between, the doc has honestly not resolved it.
Yeah, what my Amityville Horror makes clear, though, is that whatever happened inside 112 Ocean Avenue, the three Lutz children paid for it for the rest of their fucking lives. In fractured memories, in complicated relationships, in strange experiences of having their childhood become the most famous haunted house story in American history. It's really completely unfair to them.
Yeah. Danny never reconciled with George before his death in 2006. He says in the doc with extraordinary plainness, I couldn't.
Yeah, and Danny believes in the haunting. He also carries wounds that look more like the product of a traumatic household than a domestic one. And the documentary is wise enough to hold both of these things without collapsing them into one. Yeah, I think it actually handles the story quite respectfully. And, again, I find this one a compelling one and truly heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's not a comfortable watch. It's not a fun Halloween movie.
Yeah, it's essential viewing, though, for anyone who wants to understand what Amityville actually was. Underneath all the sequels and the lamps and the demon turkey, this was the real people who truly were hurt and affected. Highly recommend. My Amityville Horror. I think it's streaming on IFC. From time to time, it's up on Shudder. It is on Shudder, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So worth your time.
All right, so let's zoom out for a second, because Amityville isn't just a case, and it isn't just a franchise. It is a genuine piece of American mythology, and it's worth asking why.
I think there are a few layers to it. So the first is the simplest. It's a great story. Structurally, it has everything. Tragedy before it, a family trying to start over, a house with a secret, slow deterioration, a midnight flight, and then the question, the one that's never definitively been answered, of what, if anything, actually happened.
The second layer is cultural. The 1970s in America were a decade of shattered certainty. Watergate proved the government could lie. Vietnam proved wars could be lost and meaningless. The economy was crumbling. And into that uncertainty steps Amityville with this fundamental proposition. What if the darkness isn't just political? It's metaphysical. What if the bad thing isn't in Washington? It's in the house. It's in your house.
There's also something specifically American about the location. Long Island, suburbs, the post-war dream made manifest. The house with the nice windows and the big yard and the dock on the water. The idea that this place is haunted. Not some crumbling European castle. Not a Southern Gothic estate, but a perfectly nice colonial on a perfectly nice street. And that's terrifying in a way that resonates deeply.
Yeah. The American dream, right? The third layer is economic. The Amityville story created a template that horror films have used ever since. Take a real case, blur it into something supernatural, sell it as based on true events, and watch the box office response. The Conjuring universe, Annabelle, The Haunting in Connecticut, countless others. All of them owe Amityville a debt.
100%. I mean, Amityville even makes a cameo in the second Conjuring movie, like big studio Amityville. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was always a cool little Easter egg. But, the fourth layer is the saddest one. Behind all of it, behind every sequel, every legal battle, every documentary, every demon lamp, are 6 dead people from the DeFeo family whose murders were the actual horror at the center of this whole thing.
The Amityville mythology has made it so that when most people hear Amityville, they think of pigs and woos and quarter moon windows, not of Ronald DeFeo Sr. and Luis Brigante DeFeo, not of Dawn 18, not of Allison 13, not of Mark 12, none of 9-year-old John Matthew.
They deserve better than to become backdrop.
They did.
So, what do we actually have here? We have a real family murdered in 1974. We have a grieving, struggling family who moved into that house in 1975. We have a story shaped by a defense attorney, told through an author who never visited the location, marketed as absolute truth, and turned into one of the most profitable haunted house films ever made.
We have children who grew up inside that story, whose real experience, whatever they actually were, got swallowed whole by mythology they didn't choose and couldn't escape. Danny Lutz didn't sell the rights to his childhood. He just woke up one day and found out someone already had.
We have 12, 15, 20 sequels, depending on how generously you count, in which the franchise long since freed itself from the house, from the family, from any specific truth, and became a brand you can attach to any object you'd like to haunt. A lamp, a clock, a mirror, a dollhouse, fucking turkey. The demon is in the turkey now. And somewhere, Jay Anson is spinning in his grave at a velocity that would register on instruments.
And we have a documentary in which a middle-aged man sits in front of a camera and tries to sort through what was real and what was imposed on him, and finds after 40 years that he genuinely cannot fully do it. And it keeps going anyway, because what else do you do when the story that was told before you had the language to fight back?
Which brings us back to the question we've been living inside this entire episode. When does a story stop belonging to the people who lived it and start belonging to everyone else?
For the Lutzes, it happened the moment they sat down with a lawyer and a bottle of wine and started talking. Whether what they described was real or invented or something in between, the second it became a book deal, it wasn't theirs anymore.
For Danny and Christopher and Missy Lutz, it happened before they were old enough to consent to any of it. Their childhood became a franchise. Their fear became a box office number. Their 28 days became everyone's property and no one's responsibility.
And for Ronald and Louise DeFeo, for Dawn and Allison and Mark and John Matthew, it happened the moment the house became famous for something other than what happened to them.
Their story, the actual story, the one that starts and ends with 6 people murdered in their beds on a November night in 1974, got buried under 30 years of sequels and lawsuits and demon lamps and Ryan Reynolds abs. And every time someone watches an Amityville movie and thinks, wasn't there something about a haunting? It's just another layer of dirt thrown onto it all.
The Amityville horror endures not because it's true. It almost certainly isn't, and not in the way that it was sold, but because of what it touches, the vulnerability of domestic space, the terror of something wrong inside of the thing you built your life around, the idea that history bleeds up through the floorboards and that the past is never gone as you'd like it to be.
All of that's real. The feeling's real. What it was attached to, a specific family, a specific house, a specific set of murders that actually happened, that part deserved better than what we did with it.
In the end, the most haunted thing about 112 Ocean Avenue isn't the house. It's the question of who gets to decide what it means. And the answer, in America, is almost never the people who actually live there.
Ronald DeFeo Sr., Louise Brigante DeFeo, Dawn, 18, Allison, 13, Mark, 12, John Matthew, 9. That's the story. That's always been the story. Everything else is just the house settling.
Thank you for being here for both of these. If you made it through the DeFeo episode and this one, you've earned something. A drink, a hug, a house that never once been on the news.
Yeah, I need that drink. Yeah, so please subscribe wherever you listen. Leave us a review. Send us your case requests. Find us on social media at Fear Archive Pod. We love hearing from you. We read everything, and we are actively working on fleshing your ideas that you're suggesting into future episodes. So thanks again.
Yeah. And if you're currently living in a house with a quarter moon window on a canal on Long Island,
you're fine, probably.
The current owners are reportedly very happy there, so.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. This has been the Fear Archive.
Yeah, stay haunted, fuckers.
You've been listening to The Fear Archive, hosted by Amanda Kagawada and Michael Ryan Asap, produced by Cassie Josephove, with original music by Umberto. This podcast is a production of Violet Hour Media.